Hello everyone and welcome to our 3D Smile Design tutorial. If you want a PDF 3D manual format with the steps that I'm going to present in this tutorial, please send us an email to support@smilefy.com and request the 3D manual with the latest updates. The workflow works on all three devices. I'm going to use an iPad device today. And keep in mind that as with any other updates, new exciting updates will come up and we will keep you posted with the new tutorials. So let's get started. The steps for the 3D Smile design are the following. First step is to digitize your patient. Upload all the necessary files to create your 3D Smile design. Second step is to calibrate your scans, which means superimpose the intraoral scan to your patient's picture to improve precision and accuracy of your final result. Third step is to set the 3D Smile frame to create and transform your mock-up design into reality. Last step is to export your files and upload them into your 3D printer or send the files to your lab for printing. Open your Smilefy app on your preferred device and select the menu on the top left corner. Select New Patient and let's start with the first step, Patient Digitalization. The app gives you as a default the advanced option, which means if you want to populate numerous files such as multiple photographs, video interview, CT scans, X-rays and more, you can use this advanced option. For today's tutorial, we are going to choose Simple and select only the full smile, which is the frontal picture, and the intraoral scans. To select the files, you can tap on the plus sign and you can choose the cloud source to upload the files. You can use gallery or you can take the picture straight from the Smilefy app if you are using your iPad or iPhone. And you can also select iCloud, Dropbox and Google Drive. Upload the file, picture, make sure it's a JPEG file, and then scroll down and select again on plus and upload the intraoral scan. You can also use your 3Shape or Medit scanner by logging in your Medit or 3Shape account and upload the files from there. The files that you can upload are OBJ, STL, or PLY. Upload the upper scan first. And the lower scan. Once the files are uploaded, go next. Only the name is mandatory. And select Save Case. Once the files are saved, you can go back to case management. To start, step number 2, which is files calibration. If you don't have a patient yet, or you want to use the same files that I'm using, in this tutorial, you can also tap on the menu, New Patient, and select the Try Me in step number 2, Smile Design. You can select Try Me 3D and use the second option to be designed. Select Files Calibration right below New Project and wait until the files are downloaded from the cloud. Now, in this step, with the pinch mode, you can move and bring the intraoral scan to the center of the screen. With 2 fingers, you can also bring it down. And once it's in position, you can lock the screen by selecting the small option on the left corner. We can do the same for the picture. Pinch mode to zoom in. And once we're here, you can select 3 points on the intraoral scan. To select the points, you simply select the area that you want, where you want to drop the first point. So let's start with the tip of the canine. Select the tip of the canine. Second point is going to be on the central, and the last one on the other tip of the canine. Now we can simply drag the points on the picture and have almost the same position as we placed it on the intraoral scan. We then select Set Points . And once we are here, we can verify if the intraoral scan is superimposed correctly. If it's not, you can adjust the position, sizing, and the rotation of the intraoral scan by scrolling up. Use the tools for position, zoom, and rotation. The first thing that I like to do is to have the opacity somewhere in the middle, and now I can move it coronal. Again, have a look at the slider if it's positioned correctly. Keep in mind that you have some distortion on the back for the posteriors. Okay, I can also rotate to the left until I have the first and second premolars, and voila, you should have something like this. If it's not superimposed correctly, you can rotate here until you find the right position. Next, we select the arrow on the bottom right corner and save the case one more time. Let's go back to case management from here. So we select case management, which simply means go back to the project. And now we can start our 3D Smile design. On top we have new project, and these are all the options that you can start. So let's select 3D Smile design, and then we say yes, we want to create a 3D design based on the digital patient. Let's select the upper design, and we start with the occlusion calibration. Now the position of the occlusion line will determine where the incisal edge of the future 3D design will be placed, okay? So first we adjust the STL model. We make sure that it's horizontal from the profile perspective, and you can use the rotation arrow from the bottom to rotate it up. From here, you can use the grid to help you visualize. And now we position the occlusal line with the occlusal curve set of arrows. So I'm moving left and then down. Normally the model is at the center, it's in the center of the screen, but here the model, as you can see, it's on one side, so we have to move the occlusal curve. There is not an option yet to move the position of the model. Some scanners, when imported in the Smilefy app, they change the position, and this is something that we are working on. Okay, from here you can zoom out with the minus, zoom out the screen so you can see the whole model. Make sure you have the green line position as exactly on top where you want the new design to be. Good. So from here we can move next. Use again the arrow on the bottom right side, right corner. Okay, and in the next step, the small frame, the 3D small frame, helps you define where the future 3D teeth design will be placed, right? So similarly to the 2D small frame, you will adjust the midline, the teeth proportion, and position. And so let's start with the length. I always take the centrals as a reference for the width-height ratio. And so the blue line will tell you the smile curve, okay? And that is also important to understand the lower lip, okay? To see, for example, if it's a symmetrical lip, or if we need to go up on one side. So if you look at the midline, for example, here, it's not perfectly in the middle, that's fine. At this stage, I can scroll up and you'll have more options, okay? So you can adjust the midline just by scrolling to the left, in this case. And you can see the width ratio of the two centrals, which is basically those two purple lines. That's the distal side of the two centrals. You go down like so, and now we have the option to decrease the height. The height is the green line, okay, the one on top, and take as a reference the centrals, but sometimes even the canines, the zenith point of the canines is the highest, right? And so normally it's canines, but you can take the centrals as a reference as well. If you don't see that green line, you also have an option to decrease the opacity, okay, so you can see the cervical area. And now you can, for example, go slightly more down. Okay, and we're good. The next step is to position the occlusal angle, and the occlusal angle stands for the SPI curve. So if I select this view and I change the occlusal angle, you will see that the blue line changes, and this blue line is also the smile curve. And so here I think we can move it slightly more down, and I will extend here or just position it slightly lower. If you have the canine and the first premolar touching the line, then you are good to go. Setting the 3D small frame correctly from the beginning will give you 50 if not 70% of the work done. Therefore, it is very important to understand how to position this 3D small frame from the beginning, because that's how the software works. The software will help you speed up the process and create a mockup in 10 to 15 minutes, but the idea is to understand how to set the 3D small frame so you can do less adjustments in the next step. So we tap on adjustments. Here we can adjust the number of units. You can change from US to FDI when it comes to the numbering system. And I will keep all the teeth. You can start with 6 units, so just go to Social Smile. And then once you get more familiar with the app and you start practicing, you can build up, okay? And create 8 units, and then 10, and then do a full arch. So let's start with the full arch. I will remove the second molar. By the way, if you have a patient that has only one premolar, then you will go to 1 premolar and 2 molars. That will take automatically off the second premolars, okay? If not, just go to all posteriors, and again, I will remove the seconds. Tap on set. If the position or the width ratio is correct for the 2 centrals, then everything else should just follow the width for every single tooth. Sometimes, yes, we have left space on one side or the other, and that's where you can turn off. Let me change here the zoom so you can see. Okay, you can turn off this link next to posterior's width, and you can adjust individually. For example, here, the first premolar, second premolar is fine, or the first molar. Okay, so all these adjustments can be done here before you move next. Let me see, maybe the 2 laterals. Like so. And I will generate the smile. Good. So once the smile is generated, I wanted to show you how the teeth template looks like, because the blue line is basically, it's following, as you can see, the 3D templates are following the blue line position. Okay, so that's why if you want to keep the same position, you will go exactly on top of those of the vestibular cusp, okay? Or if you want to create a motivational mockup, you will go a little bit more forward. Good. From here we go next. Select again the arrow on the right corner. And the next step from here is to tap on the desired workflow. Next to the menu on the top left corner, you have a default option. If you select it, you will be able to select 2 options. One is for the mockup and shells, and the other is for composite veneers. So if I select mockup and shells, the app will give me a step-by-step to follow. So the first step is to go to templates. Smilefy offers you a variety of natural looking 3D teeth design. So you can select one template, as for example J01, or you can select a different template and mix them together. For example, right now it's in preview, so if I tap on select and I select the 2 centrals F01, just tap on the tooth template, you'll see that now that the two centrals are different, okay, are slightly different. Same if I go for F08. And same if I want to use F19 for the canines. Make sure you select both sides, okay? Because here it's not symmetrical, so you'll have to select both. So when preview is selected, you can also select the tooth, and from here you can see the tooth template closely. Okay, so just by moving your finger and you rotate, you can check the natural morphology of each tooth. All right. Now, let's say we have some gum defect. Smilefy offers you also the gingiva design for your bridge designs. So if you go to gingiva models, you will be able to have a full upper gingiva and a full lower gingiva. And if you need to only select the gingiva for a specific tooth, for example, the lateral, then you can select here the gingiva of that tooth. And this is great as a guide, maybe for, you can create this design as a guide for the implant placement, right? So you know where the gingival margin is, where you need to create the artificial gum in that area. Next, right after the templates on top, we have tools. So if we select tools, now the app gives us the option to select the tooth that we want to manipulate and adjust the position and the angulation. And what I like to do from here is right below the menu, you have frontal smile and all. Now, if you select the frontal smile and then you scroll up, you will be able to select a different view. Now, I like to work with the 4 views because it gives me the option to see the 3D wax up from different angles. And so here I have the free view where I can simply rotate and manipulate the tooth and the model. And now here on top I have the picture. The next step that I like to do here is right next to the 4 views I have all, and I will select the upper arch only. Okay, and later if I want to see both, I can also select both. Okay, but for now I will keep the upper. So I can see the occlusal view closely. I can also position the model slightly better and then lock the screen. I like to lock the screen so it doesn't move at this stage. Same for the 12 o'clock view. 12 o'clock view, it's a great view. It offers you the option to see if that tooth needs to be positioned a little bit more buccal and so on. So let me show you how I do it. First, in tools, if you scroll down, you have the option to simulate the lip. So I like to simulate the lip to see the position in the patient's mouth, position of the teeth, and then from here, in options, I can also turn off the smile frame for now, so I can focus on the design. I have an option, by the way, to reflect the design on the other side. It simply means that it will reflect not only the rotation position, but also the size. And now I can move them together. So if I select or I link the position, you can now move them together and we can bring them slightly more in. We can also rotate them. We can do the same for the laterals. And I can also extend the length a little bit more. Good. Once we have that, we move next with the other teeth. And so you start with the centrals and then you move back. Now we move to the canines. Canines are almost in position. I can link them and I can bring them more buccal. And then this one needs to go more mesial. Okay, and if you look for the posteriors, that's the speaker. So if I select both, you can see that the teeth are perfectly there. Maybe we can adjust here the first premolar. Let me see if it's on both. No, just on the other side. We need to bring it slightly more down. So I'll just move coronal on both. Okay. And voila. We can also bring it more in. If I'm looking at the picture right here, always have the picture as a reference. You can bring them in. And then of course you can take the lower off, and I will do the same actually on the other side. They are too far out. So position the line, the green line at the beginning, even a little bit more lingual, okay, and that will give you the right position. Okay, and so this should be the result. Again, if you did from canine to canine, great. Start with, only 4 or 6 units, and then you build up at the beginning, because of course if you do 12 units straight away, it's going to take you more time and it's overwhelming. So start with 4 units, and once you understand the buttons and what to do next, you will be able to move quickly and build up and have basically more units, design more units. So once the position is done, the next step is to go to smile analysis. And for smile analysis, here the app will be able to, let me turn on the picture iOS, will give you some suggestions for the ideal design. And of course, if the tooth template is not angulated properly, then you can change it at this stage. We are going to create a separate video and speak more about this Smilefy analysis. One thing that I would like to mention here in the smile analysis is the adding measurement option, which simply means that if you scroll down, you have a measurement set ratio option. If I want to know the length of the 2 centrals, I go to 3D layers. It's right on top of smile analysis, and I go down until I find the opacity. From here you can change the transparency of the upper design, and you can see how much you increase that length, for example. And if you want to measure, you go back to smile analysis, and right here you can measure. And the way you measure is you tap on set on the ruler, and then you drop the point on the area where you want to start measuring. So you can select here, for example, and there. So it's 1.66. You can, if you want to know the length, you tap again here and there, and it's 10.1. Okay, so it's around 10 millimeters. And so this measurement is great to see, to analyze. If you want to delete, just tap on delete for the measurement. And again, you can also know the width, 8.9. Okay, so all these measurements are available for you, so you understand. Another way is to use cross-section. So if you want to know the thickness of the template, I recommend you to go to Advanced and select the cross-section. We have a whole tutorial about this, about the peri-analysis, how to use cross-section. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, just request us the video at using support@smilefy.com via email. Okay, so let's go back to our smile analysis. Once we have the measurement done, the next step is to go to Mesh Editor. So Mesh Editor allows you to add or to subtract part of the tooth template, and you can of course also change the or alter the position, the STL maxilla. So the way it works, I'm gonna go back to 3D layers and make sure I have the transparency, the upper design visible. And now when you tap on Mesh Editor on the top right, you can select one of the brushes. And for the brushes, inflate stands for add wax, flatten stands for subtract wax, deform means move brushes, smooth is going to smooth out the surface, and reset, you can reset the entire mesh you made basically and restart over with the modification. So I will select maxilla, the mandible, and the upper design. I recommend you to have all of them, all three. Of course, you can choose only the maxilla and the upper design, but since I have the mandible, I'll use it as well. Okay, so with the pinch mode, you can select, right, and zoom in and zoom out. You have an option next to the plus and minus. You have an option to split. That is going to split the upper and lower arch so you can work on the upper only. Okay? And from here, if I select the template, the tooth becomes gray, right? It's changing its color. The same if I do the same thing if I do it for the STL file. The color changes, and so at this stage you can either change or flatten here, take off parts of the XTL maxilla, so do like a virtual preparation, or just focus on the tooth template. If this happens and you do some modification on the STL maxilla, just undo, reset that part, that area where you change it. Okay, you can also use the opacity so you can see through the tooth surface like that, and you can see the areas where it's adding more in the on the gingival margin. So let's start with this one, for example. We also need to slightly change the position here of the lateral. See that it can go better, this area, and then deform there. Have back the opacity. Now I can also smooth out the surface a little bit here. Inflate is going to add. And if you want the sizing of the brush smaller, so you can add in specific areas, just use the slider for the size. Make sure you smooth out after you add. I'm going to do the same for the others. By increasing the intensity here, it's going to take off more material, okay? And I recommend it especially for those areas where you need to take more or remove more material. And that usually is for the palatinal area. So I'll just smooth out here and there. And this is where the stretch option comes in. So if I tap on D4, tap on undo. If this happens, select the tooth, and then you can drag it out. See? So you're changing the size here as well. And so that's one way to adjust the tooth template. I don't recommend you to do it for every single tooth. Just make sure you have the right width. But of course, if you need to adjust just one tooth, especially if it's on the molars or even the premolars, that's fine. I don't recommend it for the anteriors because that will change the width on one side. Okay, so you want to keep the symmetry as much as possible and do less adjustments. So I was saying, if you want to increase the intensity here, this will then remove quicker, okay, because you are increasing the intensity of the brush. And of course, you can also increase the size here more, maybe decrease here. And let's continue with the others, with the other teeth. Normally for a mock-up design, we want to remove the occlusion. If you're doing a composite restoration, so let's say you're doing composite veneers, you can be very precise and really customize it and use, for example, smooth here to smooth out, and make sure you have this closing area, this margin, precisely as you want it. Now for a mock-up design, it's not undo. It's fine if you are not basically, here I don't like the stretch, so I will keep it like this and show you once I apply what I like to do. So I was saying that in this, for a mock-up design, it's fine if you leave it like this. Okay, maybe if you want, we can add here a little bit more. Make sure you decrease the intensity at the minimum whenever you're adding, so you don't add too much and you avoid to have a bulky area. Same thing here. And so for a mock-up design, this is more than enough, okay? You can keep it like this, you tap on apply, and we're almost done. If you need to change the position of the tooth, just leave it like this, and then in tools we can adjust the size of that molar, for example, or the premolar. Okay, the app will automatically move the view from free view to this view. And now at this stage, I can go here, go back to tools, and for example, move it more distal. And same I can do for, sorry about that, I can do for the for smaller, so I can use width here, and I can okay, so that's it. From here, once the design is ready, we go to CAD presets and we select mockup. Now, if you select mockup, as you can see, if you have the model already closed, then that means that you just select mockup and the app will export exactly the model with the 3D teeth templates. If you don't have the model closed, you will have to do 2 steps. So first we select mockup and we select the upper. And the second step will be to close the model. So the operation took around 3 seconds, so it should be really quick from your side as well. So wait a couple of seconds, and now you have the option to export. At this stage, you can export the model like it is right now. So I can tap on export, and you can zip the file and send it via email, for example, or just select folder, and you can save it in your iCloud, on your iPad, Google Drive, or Dropbox. So if you want to close the model, the extra step is the following. You go to, you are still in advanced, and instead of CAD features is the last one, right? From the bottom left side. So we select the digital edit, which is the first option from the advanced option. And so we scroll down and you'll find the option mesh wall. And now we can select the mockup maxilla. And I will show you how it looks in a minute. This calculation takes longer because there are a lot of calculations on the background. And what it does, it basically, the model it's going to be hollow from the inside, but it has the right thickness to print the model with the minimum amount of material. So wait until this is done. Like I said, it might take you 1 to 2 minutes. Here the calculation is longer. So it's almost done, it's finalizing right now, and you can export. So right now, if you export, you'll have, again, you have the option to select the folder, and you can also rename the folder. So I recommend you to do this step and select the folder, select or rename it, and then you can also add it to Google Drive, for example, and save it. So that's the model that was created in Smilefy app, and it's now ready to print. And our design is ready. Make sure you save it. You already exported the files, so the last step is to save the case. Thank you very much for your time. And let us know if you need additional information or additional tutorials, or you have additional questions. You can always send us an email using support@smilefy.com. Thank you very much.